I'll give a little bit. I'll give a little bit of my life for you. So give a little bit. Oh, give a little bit of your time to me. See the man with the lonely eyes. Oh, take his hand. You'll be surprised. That's from the 1977 song Give a Little Bit by the band Supertramp from the album Even the Quietest Moments. Joe, how you doing today?
Not bad, Sean. Long week, a little tired, but it is Friday, so I guess I'm all right, brother. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, long week. I work on Saturdays, so everyone's all pumped up usually on Fridays, like, oh, I'm ready for the weekend, let's go. And then I know I have to work on Saturday. But I know I'm off on Sunday, and Sunday's gonna be cool because the Cowboys are playing Argentina versus France and the World Cup finals is on. I always I always like the light at the end of the tunnel. I like to look what's positive after some stressful times. And yeah, it was a stressful work week. Today was long. Went to the gym before work instead of going after, so we could record the show tonight. But I still have energy. I'm ready to do the show. I'm excited for it. Joe, you there?
That makes two of us.
Okay. There's a little delay there. I was nervous for a
Oh,
second.
did you ask me a question? You know,
Yeah, it was so what is that? What do those lyrics mean to you, man?
when I was a kid and I first heard it as a teenager and I first heard it, I didn't give it much thought, and I'll give it a little bit. And I thought he was talking about like a relationship he was in. I give a little bit, you give a little bit. But as I get older, I see some altruism in these lyrics. I'll give a little bit. I'll give a little bit of my life for you, right? So give a little bit. Oh, give a little bit of your time to me. And then when he gets into this part, see the man with the lonely eyes. Oh, take his hand. You'll be surprised. It's altruism to me, and especially at this time of year. This time of year, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, the holidays, it evokes a lot of emotion. And we're always talking about giving and so forth and so on. And specifically, it hit me. It hit me that, especially, give a little bit of your time to me. Volunteering. Folks, if you can volunteer somewhere, a soup kitchen or whatever it may be, if it's an hour a week, give a little bit of your time to me. And the last part, see the man with the lonely eyes. Take his hand. That doesn't necessarily go up and grab him by the hand. See the man that looks lonely. See the person that looks lonely. See the person that looks like an outcast, and go to them. Even if you say two words to them and they look at you and they're so surprised that you're even acknowledging them. There are people that have that people who are in that situation and feel that lonely. See the man with the lonely eyes. Oh, take his hand. Be kind to him, right? And you'll be surprised what it can do. So that it just hit me. It just hit me hard, especially this time of year.
It's true. Because me and you, we like to alternate episodes of who chooses the lyrics. I chose last episode. It was One Republic, Someday. Tonight is obviously Supertramp. Not everyone might know this band. They were founded in 1969. They're an English band. They're very successful, especially in the 70s. And I know this song very well. And I didn't even have this song I have a master playlist on Spotify with like all the songs that like I want on my master playlist that I have downloaded and I can listen to even if I have no internet connection. And I love this song, but it wasn't even on my master playlist. And I'm like, man, it's just an awesome song. It's like, I was kind of mad at myself for not having it on the master playlist, even though I know it. It had been on my iPod previously, but when I transitioned to Spotify around like 2012-ish, I guess I just never added it. But we're focusing on the lyrics, and the lyrics of this song are beautiful.
They are.
It's one of those things. It's take his hand, you'll be surprised. You don't have to literally take his hand and grab his hand.
Exactly.
Just kind of reach out, say hi, how you doing? Say something funny, make a joke, see what they're thinking. And, there's a lot of times you could tell if people are feeling lonely. I mean, dogs have the sixth sense. Dogs know when their owners or people around them are like kind of lonely, and dogs gravitate towards them when they sense that, the dog, they need some love. And humans can do the same thing. We can all read body language and read emotions and see what's going on. And there's people walking in this world who are so lonely and going through their own silent struggles, and they don't share with anybody else. And we all should have a sixth sense for recognizing when someone's in a time of need. It'd be a better world if we all, use that, hone those senses and really sharpen those senses. I love this lyric. People might think this song is just a love song. Meeting someone halfway and giving a little bit to somebody, and then them reciprocating.
Like an amorous relationship. That's the way when I was a kid, or 14, that's when I'm 15, is the way I took it. And it's all I was thinking of back then. And I look at it now, and I was just thinking of it the other day. I don't even know why it hit me or whatever. That's the funny thing, too. I didn't hear it recently or anything. It just kind of popped into my head. Maybe it was your lyric last week that maybe spurred it. I don't know. But I went back and revisited because I forgot the lyrics. I knew it was something to do with this. Yeah. And that last one hit me across the face, that, take his hand. Obviously, like we had already said, you and I both said twice, it doesn't mean literally take his hand. It means, see the man with the lonely eyes. See that person that looks like they need a little something, go up and say something kind to them, which is tantamount to taking their hand, right? And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. And I think he's indicating you'll be surprised at what a big difference something as little as saying hello or how are you or something like that can do.
The smallest, kindest gestures can really turn they could turn their day around, could turn their, whatever mood they're in that current moment, but it also could turn their life around.
Yes.
You never know where they are in life. And just, being kind to people, because if you're kind to everybody, you could almost not going to bat 1,000, but if you're kind to everybody and you're putting out positive energy into the world, you don't have dark energy. You're not negative all the time. You're not making people feel bad about themselves, second guessing themselves, walking away from conversations saying, what the hell just happened? And they walk away with a good feeling, because life's about how you make people feel. We remember how we feel, how people make us feel. So if we know it's all about how people make us feel, how you feel, why can't we make others feel good? So I'm glad you chose these lyrics, Joe.
Thank you. I'm glad you're glad.
So tonight we are going to continue the theme of spotlighting an actor. Tonight is Laurence Fishburne. Joe, I'll let you have the floor to talk a little bit about Laurence.
Sure. We like to do this. We enjoy doing this, and we go from, it's like a ritual with us. We go from a lyric to a top 5 actor, actress, whatever. And I was just trying to think of somebody as I told you, and you know me, I'm going to save Robert De Niro I may have to do a top 7 for Rob. You know what I mean? Because he is the holy grail. But anyway, I wanted to look at an actor, certainly not a B actor, but an actor that a lot of people forget about, who's really, really, really talented, Laurence Fishburne. And I have a top 5. And I'm just going to get right into it. In about 1990-91, there was a movie, a Spike Lee joint, as Spike Lee calls his movies, a Spike Lee joint. It was called School Daze, D-A-Z-E, School Daze. And it was really interesting. It was political, sort of, and we're not going to get into politics here. That's not what we do. But it was a really good movie, and I enjoyed it. And that's the 5th one. Okay, and that was School Daze. Number 4 is Tuskegee Airmen. And for those who don't know the story of the Tuskegee Airmen, it's you can look it up. It's interesting. And he played a young pilot during that time, and I liked his work in there. Number 3 is going to catch a lot of people. They're going to say, what movie? Number 3 is one of the, I'm telling you, it was one of the most thrilling. I'm telling you, it was one of the most thrilling, suspenseful, creative movies I've ever seen. And it was circa 1995. The movie was called Just Cause. And Fishburne was in this movie. Ed Harris, I'll cover him one day. Ed Harris is one of our best actors in the last quarter century. And Sean Connery was in this movie. It's called Just Cause. And it was everything about it was just really creative, and you'll never forget it if you watch this movie. Fishburne is excellent in it. Ed Harris was scary good in it. It was unbelievable. And Connery is always Connery. But Just Cause would be 3. He plays a sheriff down in Florida, down in the Everglades, that kind of a thing. It's just the environment itself was intrinsically scary. The Everglades, and you got alligators and snakes, and you got all kind of weird stuff down there. But that movie was tremendous, folks. If you haven't seen it, look it up and give it a shot, because it's going to take you on a ride, and it's going to shock you at the end. I'm telling you, you'll never see it coming. Number 2, Boys in the Hood. He played Trey's father in Boys in the Hood, and he was as cool as the other side of the pillow in that movie. He was vintage Fishburne. My number one is a movie called Higher Learning. He plays a college professor. In this movie, there are racial tensions that are tremendous in this movie. And Omar Epps is a student in college. His one of his professors is Fishburne, and he speaks kind of like this. He says, "Mr. Williams." He just has this kind of a voice. It's really, really neat movie. Michael Rappaport is in this movie. He's, like I said, there are racial tensions. So Michael Rappaport plays the part of that Joker was, he was part of like a pseudo supremacist type of group or whatever in the movie. Busta Rhymes even has a role in this movie. So it's called Higher Learning. Fishburne was unbelievable in this, and he makes the quintessential college professor. He was just great in it. So again, I'll run it down to you. 5 was School Days. 4, Tuskegee Airmen. 3, Just Cause. And I'm going to tell you that one, I went back and forth of whether that was number 1. Boys in the Hood is classic. And number 1 was Higher Learning. That's it.
Man. I actually have to check out a couple of those movies. I feel like I consider myself a film buff and a movie connoisseur. And some of these movies have escaped me. I feel like I might have seen parts of all of them. I know I've seen Boys in the Hood. But the rest of those I really have to check out again and study them closely. All I know of Fishburne, he's always kind of been an under the radar actor.
Yes.
Not necessarily the star of every movie. Yes, he's got a big part in The Matrix. But he has an interesting career. He wasn't like a classically trained actor. He never studied or trained the technique of acting. At least when he started acting as a child, he was cast in a soap opera. But most recently, what stands out to me about Fishburne is I watched a show on NBC around 2012 called Hannibal. It was based off the movie Hannibal. It was a TV series.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty well-written show and well-made. It felt like a movie every episode. And he was in that. I believe he played like a cop in that. But when I think of Fishburne, the movies that I think of are John Wick, the John Wick franchise, because that's an amazing franchise with Keanu Reeves.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you're going to say Matrix. I haven't seen either one of those.
I don't, because I'm not a big Matrix guy. I'm not
either.
I have to go back and like watch all the Matrix. I've never seen all the Matrix movies. Can you even say that Matrix is?
That stuff gets too wacky for me. It's just,
it's like, people like love that. And I understand it's like a really unique and well-made and technological type thriller type movie and futuristic, but I don't even include that on my top 5. I don't have the top 5 for Fishburne because he's, this is your guy tonight, but
right.
He was in another movie called 21, which I loved. It was about like people who like really smart people who like figured out how to cheat in like blackjack. That movie was awesome. And Searching for Bobby Fischer. I haven't seen that in a long time, but he was in Searching for Bobby Fischer about the famous chess player. So his body of work is pretty, not necessarily like you just named your top 5. And like a lot of these movies are like, I can't even remember most of these movies. I know a lot of them were in the 90s. I was born in 1986, but I hold myself up to a high standard because I've seen a lot of the old pictures I've seen a lot of old movies and films, black and white films, silent movies, all the classics. I took a film class in high school and we studied some of these classic movies, but
Well, in talking about classics, and I know he wasn't maybe classically trained or whatever, but I do know, I haven't seen it. Maybe I should see it, and I should be a little better read than I am. But I'm not as familiar with Shakespeare as I should be. But he just did. If I saw somewhere that he did Othello, a play Othello. I mean, so
yeah. I think
yeah, he did that.
He's done some theater.
He's done a lot of stuff. He's been around a long time. This cat has been around for a long, long time. And you know what? You hit the nail on the head earlier when you said, and we're not going for the home runs every time, the obvious ones. We're trying to pay homage to the guys that they're certainly not B actors, but they're A actors that just hide behind, they get shadowed sometimes. But Laurence Fishburne is, he is, well versed.
And what, I don't want to put you on the spot, but like, what about his acting? Obviously, we always talked about like how the actors want them to be believable. And
sure. Well,
what characteristic really stands out to you in his acting?
There are a couple, it's with any actor. The first thing I really look at is range, or they only do one thing or whatever. Yep. Now, I didn't mention in here, there's something he did. He played the role of a character his name was Socrates. He was a fellow that just did a jail sentence and he just got out and he's living in the inner city and he's just going through the trials and tribulations of a normal guy. It was called, and it shows you what they're up against, what guys are up against, especially African-American guys are up against especially if they get in trouble with this or that, and they're on the way back, and the arduous time they have to try to reestablish. But it showed you his character Socrates in the inner city, and it showed you him in that role. And he was a rough ass, for lack of a better term. But it shows you that, and you can juxtapose that to the college professor I mentioned in Higher Learning, and how clean and articulate and smooth, and he just had this accent like Mr. Williams, would you like a peppermint? He's just very, and it was just but he had the glasses and he was just clean as a whistle. And you juxtapose that, like I said, to a guy like Socrates in Always Outnumbered, something like that. He's very versatile. And I just thought that he always had like this presence about him too. And he was really cool in Boys in the Hood. I mean, he was really cool there. But we've seen him for the last couple of decades. We've seen him in a lot of stuff. So versatility is like one of the major things I look for. Longevity is another thing that I look for. And really, these folks don't get offered roles unless they're really good. You don't get to do that many films if you're not really good. And that's all. I just so longevity, versatility, things like that. And he's been in things that I like too. I guess that too. But you talk to anybody in the industry about this cat, and they're going to have nothing but good things to say.
Yeah, I agree. He's underrated, and he's not everyone really appreciates him as an actor just because he's not like considered like this A-list superstar.
That's why we do what we do.
In the shuffle,
That's why we're doing this. Of course, we're going to mention the A actors and so forth and so on, and the giants.
We're going to do many, many episodes, so we're going to save some of these, ginormous megastars. We're going to slowly include one of them in each episode here and there, but we're really we want to spotlight actors who deserve it too.
I mentioned a guy a little while ago in that movie Just Cause with Fishburne was a guy named Ed Harris. And Ed Harris I'm telling you, he's been in, you don't realize it, but he's been, and I'll highlight him one night. But before you move on to the next section, Sean, could I mention something?
Yes.
I wanted to mention, because we were talking about the lyrics in the last, you see a man with the lonely eyes, take his hand, you'll be surprised. If you're even unsure about somebody you look at them, err on the side, error, go up and say something, whether you think they need it or not. Even if you're not sure, right? Err on the side of caution. So go up if you're not sure about somebody. Just go up and, hey, how you doing? You okay? Or something like that. The reason I do that is, I've worked in mental health for a long, long time. Half my adult career has been in mental health. And I just noticed the other day, too, there was a fella, and I can't tell you I knew who he was that well, but he was famous. He worked with Ellen DeGeneres on the show. He was a DJ or something. Seemed like a hell of a nice guy for all the clips that I've seen.
Yeah, his name's Twitch, right?
Twitch. Stephen Twitch Boss. On December 13th, the other day at age 40, he took his own life. And I just wanted to say, if anyone is out there and they're not feeling right, please, please, please talk to somebody about it. And if there's no one to talk about it, there's no one around to talk about it with, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the number is 800-273-8255. I'll say it again, 800-273-8255. If there's no one around to talk to, please pick up the phone. It can make all the difference in the world. That's it. Time's yours.
Thanks for sharing that, Joe. Anyone listening, absolutely. We're here for you. Hopefully we can entertain you, and we're doing what we can as entertainers and as hosts here. But yeah, Joe's words are serious, and for sure, absolutely. Thanks for mentioning that, Joe.
No problem.
So a couple episodes ago, me and Joe, or is it Joe and I? Is it me and Joe or Joe and I? I don't know.
Well, if I weren't here, you would say I. So will be Joe and I. So
Joe and I mentioned that we're going to highlight all sorts of holidays, not just Christmas. We accept all religions and their beliefs are that, people believe in what they believe and they're raised a certain way, and we're not discriminating against any religion. So tonight we're going to talk about Hanukkah for a little bit. Hanukkah actually is not the most important Jewish holiday, believe it or not. It's kind of just it's a celebration. It's a Jewish festival, and it commemorates the recovery of Jerusalem and the rededication of the Second Temple. And basically, more than 2,000 years ago, the Syrian king Antiochus ordered the Jewish people to abandon the Torah and publicly worship the Greek gods. It provoked a rebellion led by Judas Maccabeus. And basically it ended up with Jewish people. It took 3 years. They retook the temple in Jerusalem. So there's an 8-day celebration. The rebels were called the Maccabees. They cleansed and rededicated the temple. But there's some interesting things and customs. I didn't just want to do a thing where I'm like reading like Wikipedia and looking up all these facts. So I've known some Jewish people over the course of my life. I have friends who are Jewish. So I reached out to some of them and asked them for some of their traditions. And one of my friends, he was raised basically in both faiths, Jewish and Catholic, and they celebrate Christmas and Hanukkah. And now he has 2 children of his own. And he said what they do, because around Christmas, a lot of the Jewish people, this is how the gift giving started, because everyone's celebrating Christmas. You see all the trees, you see all the lights, and you kind of, think that, what's our holiday? Why doesn't everyone care about Hanukkah as much as Christmas? And so they started doing like a gift every day for the 8 days, because there's a menorah, and it's basically the menorah is lit because they only had a spoonful of oil when they reclaimed the temple. It was only supposed to last 1 night, but it lasted 8 nights. So there's 9 candles in the menorah, but one of the candles lights the 8 others, and it lasts 8 nights. And what my friend said, he said he gives his kids basically one big gift, but split up in 8 parts. And then they get one of those little gifts each night, but they also get Christmas gifts on Christmas. So just give you an idea of what some families do who are multi-faith and celebrate both holidays. But then there's all sorts of cool things. Like they eat a lot of fried foods, like potato pancakes, which I love.
Oh yeah.
Um, and the reason they fried in oil is because of the oil. The whole thing with the oil, they only had a certain amount of oil when they got the temple back. Then they play with a dreidel because apparently like they weren't allowed to play with toys. So they started playing with like a dreidel to keep themselves entertained. And I apologize if I'm getting any of these things wrong, because I had to brush up on all this myself, because I went to Catholic school growing up and we learned all about Hanukkah. We even had like pretend Seders. There's something else they have where they eat called Seders. So we had a Seder. When I was in Catholic school, we did that. So yeah, I mean, basically the Greeks destroyed everything but a small spoon's worth of oil. And there was only oil for one day, like I said. And they made it last 8 days, 8 nights. And it's cool. Like it's a festival, it's a celebration, but it's not the most important Jewish holiday. But it happens to be around the time of Christmas, and everyone knows what Hanukkah is, and they see the menorahs, and it doesn't get as much spotlight as the Christmas tree and Christmas, and the fact that they say it's Jesus's birthday on December 25th, even though I don't think that's his real birthday. But Hanukkah is a special holiday for Jewish people. It's a celebration, and I think it's unique, and I think it's cool that there's like 8 nights to celebrate, and not every family is giving their kids like extravagant gifts every night, but they're just some families give their kids what they can afford, and just to commemorate each day. But then but Joe, do you have any thoughts on Hanukkah? What's one of the first things that comes to mind? Is it the Adam Sandler Hanukkah song?
I'm going to tell you something about that song. The words are funny. The words are funny, and I really like the music too. I think it's got a nice little melody. So it's twofold. I really do like that. I just made some notes here about Hanukkah because I knew a little bit about it. I sold clothes in the retail. I was in the clothing retail for quite a bit, and quite a bit of the fellas with whom I worked were of the Jewish descent. I had some Italian fellas there too, and some Irish fellas there too. I'm not stereotyping or anything like that, but in that industry, I had the privilege of meeting a lot of fellas who were Jewish Americans, and I spoke with them, and I found out more and more about them is that we have more in common, like everybody else. Like any other group that you meet, we have more in common than we have differences. But I just, a lot of the fellas with whom I palled around with too, they were Jewish, but they weren't terribly religious. As like, you and I are Catholic, but we don't follow every rule, and we may not even remember all the rules to the Catholic Church. Well, it's similar to them. But as far as Hanukkah is concerned, I wanted to refresh my memory, and I just jotted a few things down. You touched on a couple of things. In 168 BC, the Syrian king, he sent his soldiers to Jerusalem at the time. The Syrians desecrated the temple, as you said earlier. The holiest place for the Jews at that time was the temple, and the Syrians came in and desecrated it. The Syrian king not only desecrated the temple, but he abolished Judaism at that time. Altars and idols were set up to worship the Greek gods. Right?
Yep.
And he offered the Jews at that time 2 options: conversion or death. So the Jewish citizens rebelled. They said, we're not going to have this. They rebelled against the Syrians and beat them against overwhelming odds. So the Jewish people, as they were trying to re-enter the temple, and they began to reclaim the temple, they lit a lamp. There's a special name for it, which escapes me at the time, but they lit a lamp that had significance to them, and it needed oil to burn. They found one small jar of oil, which was only supposed to last a day, but as you elocuted, it lasted 8 days, and they considered that to be a miracle.
Yeah.
And thus the menorah has 8 candles.
Well, it has 9 because one of them is used to light the other 8.
Exactly. The one of them is used to light the other 8, but the significance of the 8 is the 8 days. And
the name Hanukkah actually derives from a Hebrew word. I can't read Hebrew.
Dedication. It means dedication.
It means but it's Hebrew word. I can't read it, but it means to dedicate. they rededicated the temple. It's quite a story, to overcome such odds.
It is.
Get your holy place back, get your temple back, and rededicate it. And now it lives on. And it's not even one of the most religious holidays for Jewish people, because their holidays really are Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Passover. And it's really just well known because it's right around the time of Christmas. But
right. And what I wanted to add there too is that it was early on in this century when what was happening was the Jewish kid, and I don't mind this at all. I think it's great. What the Jewish people did here. Their kids were feeling really left out at Christmas time, and they were feeling different.
Yep. Yeah,
and
exactly.
so forth and so on. So what happened was the parents decided to mirror some of the characteristics. So they decided to go ahead with the gifts, and they decided to go with the Hanukkah bush, which mirrors the Christmas tree. And, they did those things to make those kids feel more assimilated into our culture and not different and not sad and not outcast. And I think it's a darn good thing that they did. And I'm glad they did it.
Yeah. One interesting fact here is Harry Truman was the first president to celebrate Hanukkah at the White House. He accepted a menorah as a gift from Prime Minister of Israel. It was David Ben Gurion. That was 1951. So, I think it's cool that Hanukkah and Christmas are right around the same time. We have all these other holidays. It's a really special time of the year. Joe and I are going to highlight other religious holidays before Christmas. Closer to Christmas, we're probably going to do Christmas. But we plan on doing probably Ramadan, Kwanzaa. So, we just wanted to, because we said we want to stay to our word. We said we were going to highlight other holidays and other religions, because this is not a podcast to promote Christianity. We're not trying to convert people.
No,
we're just speaking our minds about things in our lives and how we feel about certain things. And, religion will come up sometimes, and we're comfortable talking about it without pontificating and, preaching to people. And I think Hanukkah is cool. I mean, I think the dreidel's cool. I think the 8 gifts, the 8 nights, and the gift every day for 8. I was always thinking when I'm growing up, because Hanukkah was always usually before Christmas. Not always, but usually starts before Christmas. And I'm like, man, they're getting a gift every day for 8 days. That must be amazing. I have one day I got to wake up and there's a tree and I got to open, they have it nice and spread out where it's like, a celebration every day. It's not all about the gifts, obviously. That was a product of Christmas, basically, to kind of compete with Christmas so that Jewish children don't feel left out. But, I thought we should spotlight it, and I'm happy we are sharing some stuff about it, because people might not know all these facts about Hanukkah and the history,
right? And
the temple, and rededicating it.
And not only that, Sean, I just want to say that for all of us, and listen, I don't care what religion you are. If your religion makes you a better person, a kinder person, the kind of person that can look into the eyes of another human being and see another version of themselves, if you can feel that connected, fine. If your religion, it makes you grow as a person and see the world as a better place. And what we were talking about before, altruism and all that stuff. Now, here's the deal. Anybody who claims to love Jesus Christ, even a little bit, right? Anybody who claims to love Jesus Christ even a little bit had better never say anything bad about Judaism. Why? Tell me why, Sean. I know you know the answer, but tell me.
Well,
because Jesus Christ.
Christianity is a product of Judaism in history.
Exactly. And Jesus Christ was a what?
He was Jewish.
He was Jewish, and he was a rabbi. He was not only Jewish, he was a rabbi. So please don't ever say anything bad about the faith, about the religion of my Lord Jesus Christ, because that was his religion. You know what this is something that gets swept away and convenient. That man with the sandals who walked in Jerusalem, that man who walked in the sandals in Jerusalem was a Jewish rabbi. That man we call Jesus. Okay? That's all. I say that every time we talk about him, that, let's not lose sight of that. It's very important.
Yep. Absolutely.
Time's yours.
So we want to talk about like pretty much a current event every episode. Because a lot of people don't have time to read the newspaper, watch the news, and to listen to our podcast. And, it might be a cool thing to hear some current events, but hear our spin on it, hear our opinions on it. And the thing that popped up on my news feed today was the father of the accused Highland Park gunman charged in connection with shooting. So there was a man who obviously used an assault rifle and shot up a parade. It was in Illinois at a parade. But the question was, how did he get the gun? How did he get like an automatic rifle and just start killing people at random? And just, well, his father, Robert Cremo Jr., he's been charged with 7 counts of reckless conduct. Basically, he signed his son's application for a gun ownership permit, but he signed it knowing that his son had a series of concerning episodes, and he still endorsed the application anyway. And that's really the definition of reckless. It's like, how do you endorse your son buying not only a gun, but an automatic rifle or whatever it was, and he killed 7 people. A family member had reported him because he had a knife collection, and he was, he tried to kill himself. So he was suicidal. So it was a danger to himself and probably others. He pledged to kill everyone. His father knew about this. And his father still, endorsed his application for a gun, and his son bought a gun and killed people. And I know the country's divided on gun laws and if you're allowed to have a gun or not, if you right to bear arms because it's part of the Constitution. But there's situations like this, which are, gun laws should be, because Illinois is not an easy state to get a gun. So there's red flag measures. It allows the authorities to take weapons from people deemed dangerous. And there's all these precautions in place, but the man's father endorsed them for the gun, and that's all he really needed to get that gun. And then he went out and killed people. It's heartbreaking. It's sad. But then I saw the story about his dad being charged, and people think it's a slippery slope. They think, if the parents of all these people who commit violence start getting charged with crimes, what's going to happen? Parents are going to start going to jail, left and right. And there's going to be no real precedent. It's going to be all these, this is going to set a bad precedent for the future. But if you actually think about it as a human being and as an American citizen, say one of your family members or friends or loved ones or anyone was at that parade and they were shot to death by this person, this angry young man, who, by the way, is pleading not guilty, which is like, I don't know. He killed people, obviously, but I don't know. I think it's justice that his dad, because his dad is literally a really key part in the crime. He would never had the gun. Maybe he would have found a way to get a gun, but he literally bought a gun legally because his dad endorsed his application for the gun. So, Joe, what's your opinion on this?
I go back and forth in this all the time. I mean, you mentioned you mentioned the Constitution, the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was written, obviously, 250 years ago, and it was written for an entirely different purpose than what it is being manipulated into today. Okay, it's being twisted today and manipulated into something that it was never intended to be. I digress. I'm not going to get involved in that, but it would be interesting if you're listening here to go look at the conditions under which the Second Amendment was written and what was meant by the right to bear arms. Our framers would look at this today and say, "No, fellas, no way. Come on." Okay, but anyway, I go through this all the time, and I'm thinking, even if they do, because my view is, if you really want a shotgun to go hunting or something, all right, and if you can prove that you're stable, you should probably be able to do it. But do you need an AK-47? What earthly purpose do you? They shouldn't even be around. That's a military weapon. And there's no way, there is absolutely no way the forefathers would have even seen that coming, right? But here's the thing: even if we're fortunate enough to pass laws to make them illegal, do you think these jokers who commit these crimes give a rat's ask about the legality of the purchase. These guys are getting ready to go mow down people in big numbers. They're off the wall. They need help mentally, okay? And whether their purchase is legal or not doesn't mean anything. So, if someone goes out and does this, and he purchased it legally, so okay, let's pass a law to make it illegal. They're going to get the gun anyway somehow, some way. They're going to get the gun. So okay, so now it's illegal. They don't give a damn that it's illegal, that they purchased a gun illegally. They're going to go out and do something heinous anyway. The perpetration of what they're going to do is far worse than the purchase. So I think the only way to solve this is to make sure the weapons are not around to begin with. And I mean, like I said, and I don't think you have to take shotguns away from people who can prove that they're stable to go out for sport. If you want to call it sport, I don't know. But if you do and you want to go out hunting and so forth, I mean, that's fine. But
protecting your home,
protecting or something like that. But here's the thing with that father, my heart goes out to him because he has a son. He loves his son, but he's probably also scared to death of his son. And that's got to be a hard thing to have. Well, you love your son, but you're scared to death of him because you have to live with this joker. And now he's talking about that. So you're going to try to acquiesce. What happens if that father says, no, I'm not taking you there? He'd have to sleep with one eye open. I mean, so when you have to live with a character like this, it's got to be scary as all hell. I mean, so this father's in a predicament. Do I acquiesce and do I get the kid what he wants even though it's an AK-47 and a grenade launcher, he's promising me.
It's a lesson for other fathers and parents out there that, don't endure. If you think your kid's a threat, try to get them hospitalized and get them some help. Certainly don't endorse a gun application.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm saying I agree with you, but you can almost see that he maybe had a sit down with the kid and said, look, I'll get you this, but you go out into the woods and you'll shoot watermelons or you'll shoot bottles, but you'll promise me you won't. Because if that father says to that kid, hell no, I'm not getting you a gun. Guess what? Guess what he's got to worry about? He's got to worry about that because it's not a kid that says, okay, Dad. It's a kid that says, bullshit. I'm going to kill you now, and the father has to deal with this. And you got to live with someone like that. So it's a tough call.
Why can't the father, if he feels that unsafe, the father can make a call to the police or, authorities, because the family was aware that he was dangerous. He had a knife collection and he was threatening to kill everybody. They knew this already.
That's true. So the father makes a couple of calls. He gets the kid looked at and taken away. What do you think is going to happen? Sooner or later, that kid's going to get out. I mean, I just think it's scary, Sean. I know what you're saying, and I think you're right.
So do you think that the father deserves to be charged? He's getting charged with reckless conduct. He's not getting charged with murder, but 7 counts of reckless conduct. And it's certainly, I was in law school for a little bit in Brooklyn. It certainly sounds reckless to me what he did.
Okay, reckless conduct, and I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm just trying to at least shine a little bit of light to make people maybe understand how the father could have, made the decision that he did. Because
your perspective is awesome. Because I'm like the attack dog with my perspective. Because I read this article, I'm sick to my stomach about like the killings, but then I see there's some justice where the dad's going to be charged with some crime because I see all the details about how he obtained the gun and how his family knew of his history. He was a danger to himself and others. And I'm like, yes, okay, charge that dad. But I can see so many people out there, especially certain political affiliations say, no, you can't do this. You can't charge the dad. He's not the person who pulled the trigger and that sort of thing. But, you enabled your son to go out and murder 7 people, at a parade. So
this is true. And he was like I said, he was between a rock and a hard place. I'm sure he said to that kid, look, I'll get you this, if you promise me, you give me your word, you won't hurt anybody, you can shoot this thing off, but you go out way out in the woods or, and you shoot it out in the quarry where there's nothing but rats. If you want to shoot out there at rats, because some people do that, or shoot at bottles or shoot at this and that, but please, I'll get you this, but you got to promise me you'll use it the right way. Even like an AR-15 or whatever, or an automatic weapon. I'll get you this, son, but please do this. And the son says, okay. I won't. So the father's thinking, I'm not sure if he will, but I know one thing. If I tell this kid no, I'm liable to get, and this is not hyperbole. The father's got to be thinking, I don't know what this kid is capable of. I love him. He's my son, but there's something not right. I could be sleeping tonight and he could cut my throat.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to put empathy, right? Put yourself in that father's shoes. Do you want to sleep at night? Would you lock that door at night?
So, but do you think this is going to be good? Like in the sense that other parents are now going to be super cautious and way more careful when, endorsing their children to purchase dangerous, deadly weapons? Do you think it's going to prevent deaths in the future? As I think it is.
I think it would. And I think really what has to happen here, what this is really a commercial for, Sean, if it were a commercial, it would be a commercial for proactiveness like we talked about before. Because I think what you have to do is you have to be proactive. You have to take that route where you have the police come in, you have people come in, you say, my boy, I love him, he's my son, but he's not right. He's got to be taken out of here. He's got to be taken away until such a time that he is right. And when he's released, I pray to God that he is right. But I got to at least go that route. It's the most logical route. It may not always be perfect, but it's probably, so in other words, a very quick, proactive strike. My son's not right. He's capable of anything. I'm telling you, he's mentally ill, big time, and he's violent, and he's made threats. I need him. It breaks my heart, but I need him out of here, and I need him to be taken someplace, not for a month and then let back out. I need some help here.
Yeah.
So I think it's
proactive is usually
proactiveness. Yeah.
Proactive is usually better than being reactive.
Exactly. So I think that's the way to go. And if you're proactive and the kid gets out of the hospital prematurely and he's pissed off, hey, you're right back where you started anyway. You don't really lose anything. You've got a kid that's unstable that's liable to hurt you as a parent. So, but there's a chance that we're hoping that the kid gets in there and he gets the help he needs or medication, and at least he's not violent anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what you hope. So proactiveness is probably the way to go here. I think if we're selling anything here, that's probably what it is.
Yeah. So let's move on to some more positive themes, I guess, and that would be sports. So the World Cup final is Sunday. It's Argentina versus France. Lionel Messi's going for his first World Cup title ever. He's widely considered one of the best players ever. Currently, even at his age, he's old.
And you do look like him, by the way. I saw him the other day for the first time. I'm saying that does look like Sean.
I resemble. Okay, so I resemble because there's an article today about him possibly being the greatest male athlete ever. So if
you're not that, you look like him, but you're not the athlete.
I did play some college soccer, so I have some soccer in. But it's one of the, I started getting that recently because usually I got Emilio Estevez.
Never saw that.
So Lionel Messi's a new one for me for sure. But so they're playing Sunday. It's going to be a worldwide event. Obviously, the soccer is like the most popular sport in the world, I believe.
Yes.
I'm rooting for Argentina. I'd like to see, because France won the last World Cup. I'd like to see, it's not necessarily about Argentina winning. It's about seeing a legend like Messi finally getting, because he's got the La Liga titles that he had with Barcelona. He's got some of those club titles, but he doesn't have that, that sacred World Cup title. There's only one World Cup every 4 years. It's for your country, so it would mean a ton to him. I read a great article today about him. I'll talk about it a little bit more in the future, especially if he wins. If he wins Sunday and we do the podcast Monday, I really want to shine more of a light on Messi, but he is unbelievable. They talk about him like he's a machine. He has the software and hardware, and the hardware is about muscles, joints, and physical traits, but the software is about brain perception, action, and decision-making, and his software gives him a head start on those who physically should have the better of him, even at this age. He's able to start and stop on a dime, change directions. He walks more than any other player on the field in the World Cup. But when he's walking, he's not being lazy. He's conserving energy, but he's also studying what's going on in the field. He's studying everything that's happening, what the defenders are doing, what the opponents are doing, what his teammates are doing. So when he gets the ball, his mind is already made up when he gets the ball. He knows where he's going and knows what he's doing. He's thinking so fast. His neural system's the third part of the equation. This is an excellent article in The Athletic that I read today.
Is he better than that other joker, Ronaldo?
Yeah, so Ronaldo's my guy because I'm a Manchester United fan, and he's a legend to me. Obviously, this season when Manchester United kind of went south and he's not in the team anymore, they parted ways. Ronaldo was on Portugal. They didn't advance, so he's not going to win his first World Cup. But Messi has a chance. I didn't watch a ton of La Liga. I knew Ronaldo from Manchester United. Then he went to Real Madrid. And it was always him versus Messi in La Liga. Ronaldo was on Real Madrid. Messi was on Barcelona. And it was like every year those guys and El Clasico, those teams play. It's called El Clasico, and Barcelona plays Real Madrid. And Ronaldo's he's a freak, a physical freak, and he's a specimen, and he's so laser focused psychologically, and he demands perfection, all the things that great players do, and he's got all this God-given talent on top of his work ethic. So I know more about Ronaldo, but the more I read about Messi and the more, because I've always known he's amazing, but like this article today really just kind of put things into place for me in terms of, so Joe, to answer your question, I can't say if Messi's better, but they certainly are. They're the GOAT. If you want to say there's two GOATs in soccer, because Pele was the original GOAT, I would say Ronaldo and Messi are definitely this generation's GOAT. But so Messi has that software and hardware, and his software is operating at such a high level. But then he has his neural network, his neural system's a third part of the equation. It connects the software to the hardware. So everything that's happening in his mind is slower than it's happening for the rest of the world. So everyone thinks it's happening so fast, but his mind, it's going slow. And we talked about Fishburne earlier in The Matrix. There's a scene in The Matrix where Neo's dodging bullets. Messi's kind of like that in the soccer field. He's amazing. Everything, he's operating at such a high level.
Well, we could say that about any elite athlete in any sport.
No. That's not when it comes to a super elite. Like this guy, especially at his age, he's almost 40 years old, and he's got these younger, more athletic guys, and he's still performing at a peak level, even at this age. Yes, you could say that about
Tom Brady. Tom Brady's brain is like a microprocessor, processes things much faster than right. Okay.
But, we're talking about Lionel Messi right now because the World Cup final is Sunday, but
I know
this article really just goes into detail about how he operates and how, because everything that he does in the field, he's stopping and starting. The defender doesn't know what he's doing. Like when the defender stops and then he already starts again. When the defender figures out he has to stop to try to stop Messi, but Messi's already gone.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that he does is at a high level. So if even non-soccer fans, watching the World Cup is quite a spectacle. It's a worldwide event. You're watching with millions of people. The game is Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. It's the gold medal World Cup game. So that's soccer. I know it's a little bit early on Sunday for you, Joe, but you're focused on your Eagles, man. They're playing the Bears this Sunday. My question is, why are the Eagles only favored by 9 points? And the Bears are they have 3 wins. The Eagles are like the best team in football. What do you think? Why are they only favored by 9 points?
9 points. Well, you get 3 just for being a home team, right? So that's really like they're being, they're favored.
They're playing in Chicago.
So, right. So the Bears get like 3 just for being home.
Why would they get 3?
If the Eagles are favored by 9. If they were at home, they'd be favored by 12.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So the 9 points as a road team to be favored by 9, that's pretty doggone big.
But they're way better than the Bears, though. I would think that at least
they're way better than the Bears. Hence, the 9 is about right. How much would you think they should be favored by?
2 touchdowns at least.
2 touchdowns at least.
Yep.
You show me a team that's been favored by 14 this year.
Let me look at the team, the games. Okay, so the Chiefs are playing the Texans. The Chiefs are favored by 14 points.
Okay, well there's a little bit more of a disparity, right? Just a little bit more.
The Texans almost beat the Cowboys last Sunday.
The Cowboys, they're looking pretty bad lately, aren't they?
I thought you were scared of the Cowboys. You're confident about the.
I told you I was very concerned up till about 3 weeks ago. And then things started to unravel for them. They're messing around and they're scraping and crawling against bad teams. I mean, they should have lost that ball game last week. The Texans had the ball at the 3-yard line and couldn't punch it in. If they do, the game's over. They were that close to losing to the Houston frickin' Texans at home. I mean, the Cowboys right now don't scare me at all. And I got news for you. They're going to get their asses beat by about 10 points by the Philadelphia Eagles on Christmas Eve. I'm confident in saying that. Now, it's barring any major injury Sunday. But if nothing changes between now and then, and I'm saying I'm glad I'm playing them now. I looked at the game where they were getting their asses beat the last time they played the Eagles too, but at halftime. But what they did, they crawled back into it because they found a little crack and a weakness. That weakness isn't there anymore. And now you don't have the quarterback you had. You have a lesser quarterback than you had in last game because you got this Prescott guy as opposed to the guy that was playing quarterback in the last game. So your quarterback position is suffering. I'm not being facetious when I say that this Prescott guy's, he's, if you really look at it, I mean, you told me someone you knew texted you and said, Dak sucks. So, anyway, and I say that a little tongue in cheek, a little bit ribbing you, but in all honesty, Sean, I think we're playing much better football right now. Now they're going to get hyped up. They're going to get hyped up because this is their Super Bowl. They got Philly. They got the Eagles coming in. This is going to be their Super Bowl. They're going to get all hyped up. So maybe they keep it. Maybe it is. But I think that we go in there and I think that we win by a touch, maybe even 10 points. But this week we're playing the Bears. We're playing in their place, and we're coming in as a road team as a 9-point favorite. That's about right. I'm not insulted at all. I mean, that's a pro football team over there too. And, they've had some close games too. They're not just a 3-win, so
you don't think that if the Chiefs and Eagles switch names, and they had the same personnel, so say the Eagles were called the Chiefs and the Chiefs were playing the Bears, yet it's still the Eagles. But the fact that it's the Chiefs playing the Bears.
I don't even know what to do with that. I don't. I can't go there. Yeah, I can't. It's been a long week at work.
I feel like the Eagles are not getting enough respect. I'm trying to defend the Eagles.
And I appreciate that, but I also say I don't think you're giving the Bears enough respect because they played some games this year that were close. There was a while there where everyone said, well, look out for this Bears team. They're turning it up because they showed they can play a little bit, and it's in their field. And you know what? They got the Eagles coming in, and here's the thing. Here's the real thing, too, and you and I both know this.
The Bears lost to the Jets by 21 points,
The Eagles just had a game with the New York Giants, and they smacked the living daylights out of them. They beat the brakes off them. And then they have a game in 2 weeks with Dallas. What's this game in the middle usually called? Starts with a T. Come on. It's a trap game. So that's why that's there, too. Okay, and it happened. You say they would, but it happens all the time. These guys are human beings. They had their division rival. They pimp slap them. In 2 weeks, they got another division rival.
Did Laurence Fishburne play a pimp in any movie? Because I feel like that was on your mind. A pimp, I feel like he played a pimp in something.
I don't remember him playing a pimp or anything like that. No.
He would play a good pimp. I mean, I feel like if he should have played a pimp or he needs to, but I feel like
he could do that. He could do that. Like I said, he played a college professor. He played Socrates, the guy not the philosopher, but a guy named Socrates in the inner city. Like I told you about him. So he's got some range. He could play anything, but no, it's a trap game. Now, albeit it's a trap game, 9 points, when you're a team and you're going on the road and you're favored by 9 points, I don't care who you're playing. That's a compliment.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I see it a different way because I know you think the Texans are a lot worse than the Bears and all that, but and let's just see the Chiefs versus the Chiefs they're playing away too. The Texans are at home versus the Chiefs and they're still dogs by 14 points, but whatever. But you hear about that? Micah Parsons made a comment about Jalen Hurts. It got blown out of proportion. It was all over First Take and all those shows.
He's got to know better. He's got to know better.
But he did clarify it. The kid's
a good football player, but he's a little punk-ass.
Not sure. He's not sure if Hurts deserves the MVP because the whole Eagles team as a whole is really good, especially their defense. So he said they clipped a small. This is what happens. They took a small soundbite and they blown it out of proportion. He said he thinks Hurts is doing great this year, He's a defensive guy. Parsons is a defensive guy. He said the Eagles defense is the team to watch. And he doesn't want all the offensive guys getting all the credit because he's a defensive guy. He's got a lot of pride in defense. So,
okay.
He didn't want to poke the bear and rattle all the snakes or whatever, but, now the Eagles, he thinks the Eagles hate him. He's basically, he added fuel to the fire. So when they play on Christmas Eve, Parsons is going to be the guy that Eagles fans are going to probably be focusing on their hate that game.
Well, also in that game too, and this is huge. Lane Johnson went out. Lane Johnson is the premier right tackle in the National Football League. And when Lane Johnson went out, that opened things up for Parsons. In the first half, Lane Johnson was saying, "Who are you? What's your name, kid?" Whoop. He's handling him. Lane Johnson went out in the second half. Parsons got a little bit more of a pass rush and so forth. And offensively, the Cowboys found a little crease that isn't there anymore in the running game. So that's all I'm saying. And I don't know. I saw an article today with your Cowboys that they're going to – Jerry Jones said he's going to sign what's that joker's name? Betham?
Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Which confused me because we signed T.Y. Hilton, the former Colts receiver.
He was always good.
He's been played with injuries his whole career, but he's a hell of a talent.
He is.
So we got T.Y. Hilton. I thought we were done with Beckham, but then Jerry Jones makes this statement, so maybe we will get Beckham too. And I don't know. Beckham, I don't know. He won a Super Bowl last year. He played a big part in the Rams Super Bowl. So if he didn't,
Oh, yeah.
Once he got hurt in that game, really changed everything. The Rams really, they almost lost. But, yeah. So I'm excited for the World Cup. I'm excited for the Cowboys game. You're excited for the Eagles game.
Okay.
Because Villanova basketball is playing tomorrow. We call our annual game versus.
Let me just say this too, before you move on. Let me just say this about the Eagles Cowboys in all sincerity. Anytime our clubs play, it's a good game. These guys know each other very well. It's a division game. There's mutual respect
because it's on Christmas Eve. So we'll have a couple of episodes before that. We're going to talk about.
I'm going to wrap it up though, and there's mutual respect, and I kid with you and so forth, but it's going to be a good football game. We have respect for you. You respect us. I just think we're going to edge you out. We may not beat you by 10, but we're going to edge you out.
You're on record on SeanMatthew's podcast saying that. So we could pull that clip.
You will.
When the Cowboys beat those Eagles on Christmas Eve, we could pull that clip and have.
I will stand up and say I'm wearing my orthopedic shoes because I stand corrected.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, tomorrow is the Holy War between Villanova and St. Joe's. We play each other every season. Both Catholic schools, but Villanova is Augustinian. St. Joe's is Jesuit. But they call it the Holy War. There's a lot of history there. Schools are right down the road from each other. Villanova, we're expected to win pretty easily, especially because we have Cam Whitmore back. Ever since we got Cam Whitmore back, he's going to be a top 5 NBA pick next year if he's healthy. We've been playing great. I think we win easily tomorrow. It's at St. Joe's, but I'm excited for that game. As far as bad gambling beat, so I'm kind of like a responsible gambler in the sense that I don't like losing money, but when I win, I have a nice big win because I won a couple bets on Argentina, and then France. I had Mbappe with over a 0.5 shots on target, so we just needed one shot on target. If you don't know soccer that well, a shot on target means you shoot the ball and the goalie makes a save. If it hits the post, it doesn't count as a shot on target. I found that the hard way, in previous bets, but that's a shot on target. But so like I'm saying with gambling, I had a couple wins with the Argentina and France, and I took a couple days off. I celebrate my wins. I remember what it's like to win. I don't get on tilt if I lose and try to get all my money back and try to get try to replace the loss, the bad feeling of the loss with a win, because that's what happens with gamblers. That's why there's Gamblers Anonymous. So I've just kind of been relaxing a little bit the past couple of days on gambling, and I haven't really had a bad beat.
Good.
So I think we're going to wrap this episode up. It's been about an hour. Every episode has been about an hour. That's what we're trying to. That's our sweet spot is about an hour. Again, we're on Spotify, Apple, TuneIn Radio, RSS.com. That's our feed. And just another one in the books. It's holiday season. We're excited. A lot of things going on with sports, a lot of celebrations going on with different religions and holidays. And I'm glad everyone's listening. You got any last words, Joe?
I do. See the man with the lonely eyes. Oh, take his hand. You'll be surprised.
Take care, everyone.